Welcome back to An American Homestead, podcasting live from deep within the Ozark Mountains at an elevation of 2,200 feet. It's good to be back. Jamie just jumped when I started on the microphone there. She's not used to me yelling. So hey, all right, let's get the music down a little bit here. It's good to be back. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a lot of stuff to talk about this week, and got a full stack of stuff to go through. So I hope you're going to tune in for the whole show. A lot of hunters out there I know are probably going to be interested in what we're going to talk about tonight. It's hunting season. The rut is in full effect, and so it's just that time of year to get into it when it comes to hunting. And we're getting ready to head out into the woods ourselves and start harvesting our deer for the year that we're going to put up in the pantry. So I know you're excited about that, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
She likes using the deer meat we put in the pantry.
Yeah, I need lots.
Tacos. Deer tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of deer tacos. Okay, let's go back to let's open up the stack of stuff and see what we got going on here. For any of you guys who are interested in learning about other amazing homesteads, if you're tuning into our show, you can go to thehomesteadnetwork.com. That's thehomesteadnetwork.com, and click on their show times to see all kinds of other homesteads who do the same thing that we're doing right now. And we're always tuning in to different homestead channels and urge you to go do the same. We'll listen to Big Bear always, usually before our show, and then also the Deep South. Sorry, I don't get a chance to view all of them every week, but I do tune in from here. Mostly I'm a lurker. I just lurk and listen to their show, and maybe occasionally put something in the chat. But mostly while I'm listening, I am working or doing something else in the background. So. thehomesteadnetwork.com/showtimes if you're interested in all the other amazing homesteads that do podcasts like this one. If you're interested, I've had a lot of people comment or email us saying, hey, listen, I know you're doing the podcast. Is there a way I can get these on an MP3 for my iPad or iPod or whatever, or I go to iTunes and get these podcasts? And I don't know. For us to put these on some sort of other network, it would be extra work for us. And folks, right, I'm just to be honest with you, I don't have the time. So if you're interested, there are a lot of different extensions you can get for your browser, whether it be Chrome or Firefox. I'm not sure about Internet Explorer, but if you have one of these two browsers, there are ways you just have to research. Just Google the question. And there are ways that you can download these shows, all of our videos in fact, in an MP3 format so that you can listen to them on your favorite MP3 player. So if you do podcast on an MP3 player, or if you just want to put these on your phone, download them so you can listen to them in your car on the way to work, that's the way to do it. You want to just research for your particular browser how to download YouTube videos and in an MP3 format, and someone out there on internet land will tell you how to do it. So I figured we'd lead off with this real quick before we get into what we did last week. We may not be here next week. We are going to Branson, Missouri. And I don't know if some of you guys know where Branson is. You know, there's lots of things to do there and see there. And we're taking the boys, our two boys, to go to Branson and see. And we're meeting up with another family. One of our patrons, actually. We're meeting up with a patron family, one of our patrons, and we've known them for a while. Anyway, and they support our homestead through the Patreon. And we're going to meet up with them and go. I'm not sure we're going to have access to doing this podcast next week. If we can, we will. I'm just not sure it's going to be able to be pulled off. So what I'm going to do is I'll get a hold of Deep South or Brad. I'll get a hold of Brad probably and just let him know that we're not going to be on air. I mean, but there was a couple weeks in the past where we weren't on air, and that was unexpected. So this is expected. I'm letting you know ahead of time we may not be here next week. We're going to be in Branson. So I'll let Brad know at the Homestead Network whether or not we're going to be there or not officially, and he can plan and try to put somebody else in our space for the week. Really hate to do that to you, but it's just we're not going to be able to, I don't think, get online next week. We'll have to wait and see. So what did we do last week?
I made sourdough again.
Woohoo!
I've got my sourdough starter going strong.
Yeah, it smells good. And we had it today. It was the first time making it. Well, you made it Friday, and we've been eating it
Yeah.
since then. It's not as airy as it once was, but it still
Well,
tastes really great.
I'm using different flour this time, but I think that I probably needed to add a little bit more flour. Plus, I feel like if I had let the starter mature longer.
Right, right. So, yeah, I think it tastes great. It's just we'll see how it turns out as we keep making it. What are we gonna do with that when we go to Branson? How are you gonna keep it going?
I don't know. I might just take it with us.
Take the starter with us.
Well, most people will put a starter in their refrigerator.
Yeah.
I guess we could put it in the cooler.
Okay. Doesn't need to breathe.
I don't know. Well, you guys, I've never put a starter in the refrigerator to keep it long term or even just for a few days. So I'm not sure that would be an experiment for me.
Yeah, we just leave our starter out. I mean, that's what people 100 years ago did. They just left their starter out on the counter, covered up with a towel. If I remember right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Does it still ferment a little bit if it's in the refrigerator?
No, the cold would stop the fermentation. It does the same thing for yeast fermentation on sugar when we create wine. The colder temperatures stop the fermentation process. So I'm sure it's the same way for bread.
Okay, well, maybe we can put it in the cooler.
Okay. Well, hey guys, if you have any advice on the starter, save it for the end of the show, and we'll get into the comments, and we'll talk about that later. So I worked on the sawmill, got the new brackets installed, the hydraulic pump. If you saw the video earlier, we had the hydraulic pump. It was the busy day on the homestead video we put up just the other day, and I got to work on that this week. But I got it installed. It is working, thank goodness. And still working on the garden. Putting all of our new layers down in the garden. We're still harvesting. There's still peppers out there growing, believe it or not. And I'm really like I'm like waiting till the very last minute before I tear those plants down because I mean there's some good jalapenos. I picked the jalapeno off one of those the other day and brought it in, and it was spicy. So there's some good heat still on there, and I'm probably gonna go out there this week and because the temperatures are going to get down pretty low, and I think I'm just going to harvest what I can harvest and then yank them out and call it good. But I hate doing that when they're still producing. Hunting season starts now, and that's kind of why we're doing the show we're doing today. The show today is entitled is how to stop chronic wasting disease or CWD in deer populations. And for hunters out there, this is a big thing. You probably are aware of it if you're a hunter or have been a hunter recently. It's something that the conservation departments in most states are making their hunters aware of, and they're enacting certain regulations around that problem. And so hunting season starts now. I'm going out, not tomorrow morning, because I have a family who is coming over, and I was a certified firearms instructor for a number of years in the state of Missouri, and there's a family coming over. They bought a new deer rifle. And so it was a family who didn't have a lot of money, and they were like, Zach, what kind of rifle can I get? And they told me their budget, around $200, $300 tops. And I said, well, I'll tell you a good rifle. Because they wanted also something for defense, something for personal defense. But they wanted something that's a good deer rifle. And I know some of you out there would be like, shotgun, get a shotgun and get slugs. And I would not agree with you. There was for sale at one of our local gun dealers in town that it was selling an SKS, and it's a rifle, and it was Yugoslavian SKS, and it holds 10 rounds. Okay. So I know for deer season you have to be legally you can only basically have certain amount of rounds inside of your magazine when you're hunting. But this is going to hold 10 rounds, but when they're hunting, they'll hold only 3 or 4, whatever the legal rule. I think it's 4 here. Anyway, I recommended the SKS. They got the SKS. The issue is none of them know how to use a firearm. Okay, they have very, very, very little firearm experience, if any at all, most of them. And so we're going to go ahead and give them a training class, give them a safety class, show them how to clean the gun, how to take it apart, and maintain the gun, and just give them some target practice on some of the boys who are going to be the hunters of the family for that family. And another issue with this SKS is it's a Yugoslavian SKS, and so some of you guys who know your SKS rifles will know that the Yugoslavian, a lot of Yugoslavians that came in and were imported into the United States had a grenade launcher adapter on the tip of the barrel. And so a lot of people, when they got these rifles, they just took a hacksaw and cut them off. Well, that's fine if you recrown the barrel. Well, whoever owned this rifle previously put a really nice stock on it, put a scope on it, put a light on it, a light mount on it, but they didn't recrown the barrel when they cut the grenade launcher adapter off of the barrel, and so it needs to be recrowned. If you don't know what that is, you can just go to Google or YouTube and search for SKS recrown barrel. There's some videos up there that show you how to do that. So basically, you can go to any hardware store, spend about $15 in just a couple of materials, and get what you need to recrown a barrel and make it look good. And so that's what I did the other day. We're going to recrown the barrel this week. I'm probably going to put it on video so you guys can all see it. I think it's going to be a great video, and it looks like a really nice rifle. I think it'll serve this family well. The 7.62 by 3.9 round is a perfect round for deer, and it's a perfect round for self-defense. So that's what's going on. And then also this week we got a new president. We got a new president. I know it's a hot topic right now, and there's like stuff going around on the news, and there's riots and stuff. I don't care. Right wing, left wing, same bird, and that's all I'll say. Okay, my laptop needs fixing. My laptop broke this week. The hinge on my laptop, I have a really nice laptop from MSI. It's a workstation, and it's a really good laptop, and the hinge broke. And so I'm either going to have to send my laptop away to get fixed, or I'm going to have to take it in somewhere in town to get fixed. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but that was kind of a downer when I figured that out, that the hinge broke on the right side of my laptop. So anyway, and then did you know I was listening to Big Bear this before our show started, and the Big Bear homestead, you know, they have in their house that gets rid of flies, and they said they had almost 0 flies this year.
What was that?
She's interested because she hates flies.
I hate flies.
They had pitcher plants around their house. The pitcher plants are like one of those. It's like a Venus flytrap, but it's not. You know, it doesn't have claws or anything.
Yeah, I know what a pitcher plant is.
Yeah. Okay. And they
got stuck inside.
Yeah, it was eating all of their flies because they have an attractant, I guess, in the plant that brings them to the plant.
They'd get plenty of them in our house.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots. And he says, I have 3 boys, and they never close the door. Trust me, we have flies, is what he said.
Huh. Maybe next summer we get pitcher plants.
I'm like saying.
Oh, my gosh.
So we had a big issue with flies this year. It just got nuts. And so, we're looking for ways to get. I mean, we use the fly strips, and they're really ugly, I know. But they do work, and they catch lots of flies. But I do think I'm going to try the pitcher plant thing that Big Bear suggested. That sounds like a good deal. Also, you got some new teas in the mail recently.
Some new teas?
Well, we're going to talk about your teas.
What are you talking about?
Oh, the teas you drink. She gave up coffee, folks.
Oh, tea.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't figure out. You guys, I'm tired. You know what else happened this week?
What?
Daylight savings.
Yeah, daylight savings.
I hate daylight savings. You guys, it's dark here, and I'm tired.
All right, talk to Brad. Tell him he needs to reschedule the show for earlier in the evening.
We can't do that because the show is full earlier in the evening.
Yeah, there's people who are already on earlier in the evening.
I just don't like daylight savings, and it's especially it's just more prevalent when you are living without electric light because it gets dark at 5:30 now, and it feels like 6:30, and so by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, it feels a lot later than it is.
Yeah, so you've given up coffee though. I mean, someone says, well, no coffee takes its toll, but you've given up coffee for a while now. I mean, how long have you been off coffee?
About 2.5 months.
2.5 months. And you've been, I mean, that's long enough to go through the withdrawals of not having coffee.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're not going through withdrawals
No,
anymore.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Daylight savings time just messed you up.
Yeah, I in the winter time we usually go to bed around 9:30 just because it's dark and your brain shuts down. That's what happens after a period of time in the night when you don't have electric light or any other kind of stimulation, your brain starts shutting down and it's relaxing.
Not my brain.
Well, Zach can stay up because he's staring at his computer. But, and I do some computer work too in the evenings. But after a while, your brain starts shutting down, so you just go to sleep. But I've been drinking tea, and
She's got a whole collection of teas. Vanillas and rooibos. What is a rooibos?
well, we talked about this last week.
Did we?
Yeah,
I don't remember talking about this before.
yeah. I really like it. It's supposed to be really good for stress and kind of a really calming tea, and I can definitely feel it. Especially when I drink it in the morning, I can feel it. I'm not as on edge, I think.
Yeah. So she's getting off the coffee and she's on teas, and she's got all these boxes of rooibos everywhere. And I had one of them. I tried the pumpkin spice the other day. I had the vanilla something or other today.
Mm-hmm.
But I ordered this. I was at a business meeting I had to go to this week, and someone had cups of Organo coffee. I think it's called Organo coffee, and it was awesome. And I ordered a box. It's expensive if you go to their website, but I found a box on eBay, and I ordered that, and I can't wait to try that. So Organo coffee. I might have her take a sip just to taste.
I'll taste it.
Yeah. But she's on the teas and I'm on the coffee still.
I love coffee. I always have.
Yeah.
I just feel better when I don't drink it.
So also, we're still in the middle of our Beehive giveaway. We have a number of new people who've signed up on the Patreon account. This is only for the $10 patrons or the $20 patrons. Our $20 patron slots are completely full. They are all taken. And but people can still get in on this by if they want to support the homestead by signing up for the $10 patron slots. So those are basically unlimited. But the $20 patron slots, you get free gifts. Like we send people smoked salt, we send people like homemade washcloth. We send you stuff. You get to minimum basically of 3 months, and then we start sending you things from the homestead. Maple syrup we've sent out. We're gonna send out sorghum here soon. We've sent out all kinds of different things, and T-shirts will be in probably in the next week or so, and then we're gonna have some giveaways. I think we're gonna give away a couple T-shirts to just people who tune in live on Saturday night to our show. So, guys, if you're tuning in to our show live on Saturday night, I think we're gonna give away a few T-shirts. I don't know. I haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet, but the chat room will play a part in it, and we'll be giving away T-shirts to those of you who are listening in. So I think that'll be kind of cool. We got some new T-shirts coming in, and I don't think I've shared them with the general public. I think I only shared them with the patrons.
Yeah.
So I think you'll like these T-shirts. They're really cool. I think you're going to get a kick out of them. So
No, you showed a picture of them last week.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I did. So it says on the back, I'd rather be on the homestead. And then it's got the American Homestead logo on the front. So those will be made, they'll be in hopefully this week, and we'll give some away to you guys who are on the live podcast on Saturday night. So I want to do that for you guys. All kinds of great things that are always coming on the homestead that I'm always trying to give out to you guys, give away to our patrons, give away to people who watch our channel, whether you're a patron or not. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. So what I want to talk about tonight was because it's hunting season, and this is a big thing, at least in Arkansas right now, and in Missouri and in some other states, it's a big deal. The whole chronic wasting disease and people, the industry and the conservation departments, the agencies, state agencies are basically admitting they don't know what's causing this. I I have worked as a lobbyist, a volunteer lobbyist in Jefferson City, in Missouri, in the past. I have sat down at times with the director, at one time, that was back then, the director of the Missouri Department of Conservation, their legal team, and I know often they don't tell the truth to the public. All right, they know. Let me give you an example. Okay, mountain lions. There is a breeding population of mountain lions in the Ozarks through Missouri and Arkansas. And they will not tell you that there are breeding populations of mountain lions here because they don't want the public to get alarmed and they don't want people going out and shooting them. But they're here. I mean, they're lying to you. So when they say they don't have an idea of how to cure chronic or how to stop chronic wasting disease or CWD in the deer populations, I'm going to tell you, and I don't know for certain, but with a high certainty, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. And it's not a conspiracy. I see John Morgan. Conspiracy! No, it's not a conspiracy. The reason they're lying to you is because there is an entire industry at stake. So I want to begin like this. For how many, just let me go to the chat room real quick. And you normally during the show, I ignore the chat room until I take questions at the end. And then me and Jamie will do questions. But I'm going to go to the chat room. How many of you guys out there own sheep or goats? Sheep or goats? Sheep or goats. So I'm going to wait until I see some of you guys out there who own or have owned sheep or goats. If you've ever owned in the past sheep or goats, let me know. Tell me you've owned sheep or goats in the chat room right now. And I'll wait for this and I'll just kind of chalk talk it as I see it. But so I'll see Josh says he has 2 sheep. Okay. And let's see what else comes up. If you have owned sheep or goats, or if you own sheep or goats, let me know in the chat. It says I have owned goats. I have owned, because there's a delay. There's about a 20-second delay or so. Okay, so there's 3 people, 4 people. Hillbilly Homestead says he has. Jack E, Mike Miller. These are people who have owned sheep or goats. Okay, so I'm asking you, sheep and goat owners. You sheep and goat owners. When you're feeding your sheep, as a sheep and goat owner, probably one of the first things you learned about your flock or how to feed sheep and goats is to keep your feed off the ground. Off the ground. You keep your feed, your hay. You have a place to put your hay, some kind of a manger or something where you put your hay into that so that they eat their hay off of the ground. You don't put their hay on the ground. Why? Because if you put their hay on the ground, they will poop and they will pee on the ground, and then they will ingest that hay, and whatever parasites that they have picked up in the fields or anywhere else, basically the life cycle of those parasites, many of them like barber pole worms and other parasites, will go through their intestinal tract and then get on the ground, and they ingest it, and they're basically just re-ingesting the new parasites that have hatched inside their intestinal tract. And also bacteria and things, all kinds of issues that occur when you put their feed on the ground. So what you do for sheep and goats, you keep it off the ground. They're a ruminant. A ruminant is a type of animal that, let's just Google ruminant. Ruminant definition. It says ruminants are mammals that are able to acquire nutrients from plant-based food by fermenting in a specialized stomach prior to digestion. So that's a ruminant. A sheep and a goat is a ruminant. And let me get back to my screen here. The sheep and the goat is a ruminant. So are deer. Deers are also, ruminants. It's the same thing. So if these types of bacteria can affect a sheep and a goat, they can also affect deer. These types of parasites, if they can affect sheep and goats, they can also affect deer. Well, what is going on with CWD? CWD is called a transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. I know that's like a huge thing. You're like, what? Transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. And basically what it is a protein prion that exists in soil, that the deer ingest, they eat, and it goes through and it causes these issues. It's very similar to mad cow disease. Mad cow disease is also another type of transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. If you have owned sheep and goats, you will know, maybe you've had experience with scrapie. Scrapie is another form of transmissible spongiform encephalopathy. And it's something also, if you look it up, scrapie on their Wikipedia page, where does the transmission come from? It comes from the ground. It comes from the ground, folks. Because the ground is full of dead things. The ground is full of bacteria. It's full of parasites. It's not something you want, your animals to be eating off of. I mean, you're not going to eat off the ground. You don't want your animals to eat off the ground either. And so that's why one of the top things you see, at least one of the top things we saw when we got sheep, and we've had goats on 2 different occasions, but when we got sheep was to make sure you keep your feed off the ground, and that will lessen the chances of you getting parasites and other bad diseases in your sheep. And so knowing all that, if this is the case, look at the deer industry that we have today. The deer industry that we have today is basically, when you walk into Walmart, you see all these things like deer cane and deer dope and all these bags of stuff in Walmart where they're taking that and you put that on the ground, or you get salt blocks and things like that and you put that on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, I put out a salt block, salt mineral block last year, and I'm not kidding you, the deer, after the salt block was gone, they dug down at least 6 to 8 inches below ground level to eat the dirt that was affected by the salt, because when it rained, the salt evaporated into the ground, went into the ground and made the ground salty, thus making the deer want to eat it. Well, all you're doing when you're doing that is you're giving the deer a chance to pick up these protein prions that cause the transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, or this chronic wasting disease that is affecting the deer herd right now. Think of it this way. When you put deer corn in that deer feeder, what's the deer feeder do? Those big ones that you put up on the top of a tree? The deer feeder spins around, and it spins all of that corn all over the ground. And I know that deer, they go through the ground, they eat acorns, they eat persimmons, they eat a lot of things off the ground. But if you watch the deer population, you will notice that the deer do not eat acorns after a couple weeks after they're on the ground. They stop eating them because they start to spoil, they get rained on, they're moldy, they're no good anymore, and plus you got worms, the worms get to them, the squirrels get to them. But after about 2 weeks after the acorns have stopped falling, the deer aren't eating the acorns anymore. Okay, they're not rummaging through the ground. They eat what they see when they come across them. They pick them up. They pick up the newly fallen acorns, and that's what they eat. Same with persimmons. When the newly fallen persimmons come down, they eat those persimmons, but they don't dig in the dirt. They don't dig in the dirt. The industry is making these deer dig in the dirt. That's what's causing this. And here's the deal: you go through Walmart and you see all of these products that basically hunters put on the ground for their deer. There's your cause of CWD. It's the ground. And now I'm going to read this to you. Check this out. This is from the Wikipedia page on chronic wasting disease for deer. When it comes to transmission, that means how do the deer find these tests? Okay, sorry, I thought maybe we went off the air for a second. It says, how do the deer find these? Hold on a second. I lost my place. Transmission is how do the deer find, this disease? How does the disease get to the deer? It's the transmission. So the transmission for chronic wasting disease, it says, environmental transmission has been linked to contact with infected bodily fluids and tissues, as well as contact with contaminated environments. Once in the environment, CWD prions may remain infectious for many years. Thus, decomposition of diseased carcasses, infected gut piles from hunters who field dress their cervid harvest, as well as the urine, saliva, feces, and antler velvet of the infected individuals that are deposited in the environment all have the potential to create infectious environmental reservoirs of CWD. Now, this is the sentence that got me. CWD prions adhere tightly to soil surface particles, and the ground itself becomes a source of infection that may be a major route of transmission due to frequent ground contact when cervids graze. Cervid, if you don't know, cervid is a deer. That's the scientific name for a deer, cervid. It says it comes from the ground. That's what this is saying. The ground itself becomes a source of infection. Well, if you go through Walmart or Bass Pro or Cabela's and you look at all of the deer products, when it comes to baiting deer, it's all ground-based. Most of it, it's all ground-based. There's no, manger or food trough you're going to put out for the deer in the middle of the woods. I mean, you could do that, but that's not what's going on, here. I mean, we're talking about infections coming from the ground. So how do you deal with this? Well, the only way you're going to cure this, the only way you're going to stop this, is basically get these manufacturers to pull these products and come up with products similar that will be off the ground, to keep them off the ground. If you're going to force the deer to eat the dirt, you're going to have sick deer. It's that simple. It's just that simple. Mr. Rain says, "Is Jamie asleep?"
I'm awake. Zach is on a rant, so I just let him go.
Stand back. Let me go. But I'm serious. This is something important, and we're allowed to bait here in this state where we live. And good thing too, because it makes hunting really easy. And I'm not in it for the sport. I'm not in it for antlers. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is making my wife happy and allowing her to put as much deer as possible in the pantry. That's it. Period. That's the only reason I hunt. It's food. Okay? I'm not in it for the sport. But I just think that, listen, you're going to see these, because I think chronic wasting disease is going to get worse, because more and more products are coming on the market that show or that allow hunters to put food and bait on the ground. And if you do that, they're going to continue to eat off the ground, and they're going to intake these prions that exist only in the ground. It's that simple. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science, folks. So, some of you guys out there, you're hunters. I know you're big hunters. It's the time of season right now. And, people are excited about going hunting. But if you hear these conservation agents and these people talk about this, if they want to know how to stop CWD in deer, you'll tell them not to stop baiting. Baiting is good. You can bait the deer. Just don't bait them on the ground. Get the food, get the salt blocks, get all these different products that they have for deer to bait them off the ground. If you noticed, not a few months ago, it was about a year ago, I put out a video showing how I made a deer feeder for less than $20. I think it was $20 at the hardware store. I bought some 4-inch CVC pipe, and with a little Y attachment to it, and you can find the video, and it keeps all the feed off the ground. It's very simple, and in fact, if you go to my Facebook page right now, my personal Facebook page, you'll see a picture of a bear on there, and in the background, right next to where that bear is standing, my neighbor caught a picture of a bear on his deer cam. Right next to the picture of that bear is my neighbor's deer feeder, and it's the same thing. That's where I got the idea. It was from my neighbor. He told me, he said, "Hey, this is how I use it. So, you want a deer feeder? Here's a good one. It works. I've been doing it for years. It brings in all kinds of animals, thus the bear sitting there in the picture, and it only costs like $20 at the local hardware store. Compare $20 to those gizmos that are battery operated or electric that you hang in a tree. Those are what, a couple $100? I'm not sure. I don't know what they cost, but they're, I'd rather spend $20, right? So, anyway, someone says you don't need a deer feeder if you plant a fruit tree. Well, we have lots of fruit trees. We have lots of persimmons, and they come in for those for sure. But the persimmons are all gone by now. I mean, they're all gone. So the rut is starting right now. I want the deer to come in right now. So I can't rely on the fruit trees because the fruit is gone this time of year. Anyway, that's my topic. If anyone ever asks you, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, make a 10, 15-minute video on American Homestead on how to stop CWD, because I think the word needs to be put out. If they're serious about stopping chronic wasting disease and deer populations, they need to get the feed off the ground. They need to get that all those baits and salt blocks off the ground. All right, we're going to open it up to questions. What's your favorite tea so far?
What's my favorite tea?
Mm-hmm.
I like the chai.
The chai.
Yeah, it has a bunch of different spices in it.
Have I had that one yet?
I'm not sure. It has just a bunch of different spices, but you can make it different ways. I like to add some cream to it. I put a little bit of heavy cream in it, and it tastes really good. I like that one in the morning.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Make sure if you're going to ask questions, put them in all caps, please, so that we see them as questions in the chat room. And we'll know to answer the questions that you have. So, yeah, I'll have to go try that tea later. I still like a good vodka tonic.
What brands do you use? Well, it just depends for me. If I'm going to drink a lot of tea, I like to buy organic tea. I don't know if this is true. I saw some information a while back put out that said that one of the worst things to put into your body is tea that is not organic. And the reason why is that they spray the tea leaves with pesticides or whatever they spray them with. And then they pick the leaves and they dehydrate them. So basically you're eating a lot more pesticides than in a dehydrated tea than you would be if you were just eating that same amount on a piece of lettuce or something. So they say if you're going to drink tea, get organic. And so I've been buying mine on Vitacost. There's a lot of natural food websites out there, but I really like that one. I've bought them from them for years. So I just search for organic tea on there.
So if we don't answer your question at first, please keep posting it until we do. We will try to get to them all. Licorice root is a real good one for tea that will help relax and induce sleep. Does it taste like licorice? Is what Rain Country Homestead asked. And I have to ask, is Rain Country Homestead related to Mr. Rain?
Yes, I think so.
They are?
I think so. Just from observing the chat room, it seems like they are.
Well, does licorice root taste like licorice?
Huh, that would be interesting. I know you love licorice.
I love black licorice.
I don't like licorice.
How's the mill running? It's running good. We just put a video up, Busy Day on the Homestead. You can check that out and see. It's running a little slow. I think it has to do with the hydraulic motor. Either the motor is low on hydraulic fluid, or that's the motor. That motor just needs to be switched out. I'm not sure, that hydraulic motor. So it says licorice root does taste like licorice.
Huh, you need to get some.
Well, you know where to get all the tea stuff at. I mean, you're ordering it.
Oh, they make licorice root tea. Okay.
Is that what she's saying? Licorice root tea, right, Rain? I think so. Yes, Mr. Rain is my husband. He said, wait, what?
Well, she said a while back that they're kind of like us, but she likes to do the talking and he likes to listen. So they're switched.
I think there was another question I missed. How do you identify a deer with CWD once you've shot it? You don't. You basically have to take a skin sample into the conservation department or Fish and Game, where you live, whatever agency in your state that runs that, and they will test it for you. And I'm not sure if they let you know or not, but so far this year, there's been over, I think in our county alone, over like 30 different identified deer that have this. A lot of times, especially during the summer, a deer has CWD just by looking at it, because it'll be like skin and bones. It'll be kind of staring off into space. It'll just be sitting by a body of water like a pond or a creek or something. Something is wrong with it. I mean, it's just not. It's not right. It's not good. So they're pretty easy to identify. But other than that, if you want to find out if your deer has it and it's just not being affected by it yet, you have to take a skin sample into the conservation department or Fish and Game. And they'll test it for you for free. Wanting to buy land near you, suggestions on where to start. Let's see, where do you start buying land? You got to find. Here's the deal: if you want to buy land out here, and there's a lot of people buying land out here, or they're looking to, or trying to find options for homesteading. The ways you find land, if you're gonna come out to rural places like we're at, where there's just hardly anybody who lives out here, is you need to get your boots on the ground, because there are lots and lots of properties for sale that are not listed. There's a lot of buy owners. There's a lot of people out here who don't like realtors, number one, because most of the realtor options they have are in the cities, and the realtors hate coming out here. And so why deal with a realtor who's not going to be, all gung-ho about selling your property, because every time she gets a phone call, she's going to have to drive 2 hours out of her way to go show the property, and the client might not even show up. So realtors don't like showing properties out here, and they're not happy about dealing with the people out here, and the people here aren't happy about dealing with them. So a lot of people here don't even use realtors. So if you want to look at property, you need to basically get your boots on the ground out here, come out, visit, drive the roads, talk to people in town. I have a family right now who every week they're putting in an ad in the paper, letting them know, hey, this is a good Christian family, and we want to set down roots here, and we're looking for 10, 20 acres or whatever they're looking for with water. If you have any options for sale, please contact us, and we'll be happy to talk with you. And so, there's people out here who are willing to sell and sell property, but they hate dealing with the realtors. And let's just face it, there's a lot of elderly couples out here, and they've got land, they have estates, and their kids don't want any part of it. They're just waiting for the parents to die so that one day they can sell the farm. So there's lots of good stuff out here, but you have to get out here yourself and find these properties. It's just kind of hard. So, and even some of the real estate companies that are out here, they don't even list on the MLS database, which is the national database for real estate. Okay, most realtors in the city, when you list your property, it goes on the MLS database, and every realtor in the country immediately has access to it to view that property. There are realty companies who will not pay the fee to list their properties on the MLS database. Thus, most of the world never knows it's for sale. I mean, is that ridiculous or not? I don't know, but yeah. So, Zach, have you ever considered getting a rebuild kit, seals, etc. for the hydraulic pump? I'll have to look at that. I have one hydraulic pump that works pretty good, but it definitely needs a new seal because it's leaking pretty good. And I'm either going to have to deal with just going ahead and keeping, topping off the hydraulic fluid, which is basically just transmission fluid, 303 tractor fluid. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'll look at that. Water and ground good there. Yeah, there's lots of good water in the Ozarks. That's one thing about the Ozarks that is amazing, is there's lots of water. I was told that there are two of the world's largest water aquifers are buried underneath the Ozarks, and underneath the land of the Ozarks. Two of the world's largest water aquifers. I don't know if that's true. That's just what someone told me. In fact, a couple people have told me that. So that's good water. Good water. Anyone ever see deer eat hay in a freshly sprayed field? They like the taste 2,4-D and Roundup. I have no idea. Roundup is basically just salt. So I could see them liking Roundup, I guess, because it's salty. John Morgan says, yeah, just avoid eating the brain and spinal cord is what I've heard. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. See, that's the thing about chronic wasting disease. They better get serious about this, because everyone eats, hamburger. Everyone eats hamburger. Hamburger is the big thing, because all of your fast food places sell hamburger. And so when mad cow disease came about, which is also a transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, people took notice, and they were panicked. We got to get this mad cow disease. We got to figure this out, and we have to kill. Britain, killed hundreds of thousands of cows trying to stop the spread of mad cow disease. Well, you know what? Not that much of the population of America still hunts, and the liberals in D.C. and the lobbyists in D.C. and these special interest groups in D.C. don't really care so much about you and me. Okay, they don't like the hunters anyway. So if we go out and we get a bunch of chronic wasting disease, which is also a different form of transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, closely related to mad cow disease, and we start dying, they're not going to care. In fact, it'll probably be a benefit for them. So that's why I think this hunting industry needs to take this seriously, because the only one looking out for you is you. That's what it comes down to. How is the new pitcher pump working?
I think it's okay. There are some tweaks that we're going to make to it. I think we may put in a new, is it a faucet that comes out of, what would you call that?
What?
Where the water comes out. It doesn't turn on like a faucet, but it's got what looks like a faucet where the water comes out instead of the typical trough or something like that of other pitcher pumps. And what we don't like about it is that when you pump, it gives it gives a good spray, which is not what we want. We'd rather flowing water. So we're thinking that we may put in a different size.
Yeah, I don't like
different size of faucet.
Yeah, I don't like the little spout that comes out of there. But that can be easily switched out.
Yeah.
That's just what your dad had available, right?
It's the one it came with.
Oh, it came with it?
Yeah, he thinks he may be able to put in a different faucet or a different spout that would make it so that it doesn't spray so much.
Yeah, I would definitely do that for sure. Anyway, yeah, it's okay. I missed the original one we had. I think it's the best one we had, but it just leaked. I think the ultimate solution is to get a waterproof countertop.
Yeah, but still, I constantly had a towel next to it, and I was mopping up water. Constantly.
Yeah, I know.
You never did that?
Well, I sometimes I did.
Well, it got annoying.
How deep are the wells around your area? We are an anomaly. They run the gamut. It just depends where you are. Okay. We have what we call a seepage spring. We're on top of a mountain. The elevation we're at right now is 2,200 feet, but the mountain goes up another 200 feet, so it's like about 2,400 feet. And I'm not kidding you. On one side of our mountain, there is a sycamore tree, a big one, and that's at the top. Near the top. About 100 foot from the top of the peak of the 2,400 foot mountain. And a sycamore tree, a full-grown sycamore tree, can drink up to 600 gallons a day. Okay, so that's not normal. I had a friend of ours, he was walking around, we were all taking a walk around the property one time, and he saw that tree, and he's like, wow, that's not normal. Because normally you see sycamore trees down by the creeks and the ponds and lowlands and the valleys. You don't see sycamore trees on the top of mountains. And there's a sycamore tree at the top of our mountain. And there's sycamore trees down through different places on our mountain, so that's where water is. Anyway, our well is only about 160 foot deep, and the pump pipe goes down 140 foot. And I think it was, 100. So I think when we had the well drilled, after about 2 days after the well was drilled, the water level was 40 feet from the top. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Zacchaeus and a sycamore tree.
That was funny.
I haven't climbed it. I haven't climbed any of the sycamore trees around here. They're not hard. They're not, there's no low branches on those things. But so about 160 feet for that well. But like I said, that's not normal. You could drill a well, 300 feet, 400 feet, 1,000 feet. I mean, it just depends. I have no idea. It's going to be different everywhere you go. But here's the deal. There's good water here. You just have to look on your land and find the water. And at the very least, what you could do, because the Arkansas or the Ozarks gets about a 50-inch per year rainfall, you could build a really big cistern on your property and have the water go into that and then filter it on the way out. I mean, you could hold the water, folks. I mean, that would be in fact, there's people in the Ozarks for years, decades, who've done that. They build a giant, concrete cistern, and they hold their water that way. let's see. What else was it? There was something else too up here. Looking in the chat. I don't know. I lost the question. Sorry. Like I said, if we haven't got your question, keep repost it in all caps so I see it. It says our well was 110 feet in Southwest Missouri, sweet water. Yeah, there's good water in Missouri and in Arkansas and the Ozarks. I mean, that's one thing we are blessed with here is just good water. So, and you need water. I mean, a homestead, you should. I mean, the main priority is going to be water for your homestead. Says I'm in Southwest Missouri, Jack E. Carthage, Missouri. I think I've been there once. Okay, yeah, Carthage, Missouri. Yeah, Carthage, Missouri. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. So yeah, it just depends. But the biggest thing is water. Still waiting for the ham radio videos. Yeah, I was gonna install one on my truck, and I still have to go out and order the drill bit to drill a hole through the top of the truck so that I can. And not only that, but I'm having a heck of a time trying to get some of the pieces off of the interior so that I can run the wire down through the arm. I forget what that's called. Where the windshield meets, and the windshield glass meets the driver's side glass, whatever that arm is. You have to pull that stuff off so you can run the line down it. And I'm having a hard time trying to find the tools to get that off, and I can't pull it off myself, and I don't want to break it. So I got to get that stuff before I install the ham radio. It's on the list of things to do. There's a long list of things to do. Someone emailed us today and says, so do you guys ever have any downtime where you just get up and there's nothing to do that day? And if so, what do you do those days?
No.
That's what I said. No, there's never a day where I get up and there's nothing to do. There's always things to do.
There's always things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see.
I'd rather it that way, though. I don't like being bored.
I know. I don't like being bored either. There's lots of. I mean, we have downtime, but it's because we make our downtime. Like, for instance, we're going to go to Branson next week with some friends, and I mean, we're making that happen. I mean, there's definitely things I could be doing.
Yeah, there's always things, but we gotta get away. We gotta figure out, because our little boys need that too. Yeah. And they need to experience some of the things. We want them to experience some of the things that we were able to do as kids. And that means like not always having to be working on the homestead.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that's the thing. I want to get out and see some things with the boys. So yeah, we're doing that this next week. Get them out. And I mean, I remember, I don't know if we've ever told the story on air or not, the first time Caleb saw running water.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so she's yawning again.
Sorry.
So we were in Fort Smith at an event, and she was getting the boys ready for a bath. And she brought the boys into the bathroom, and she turned the water on in the bathtub, and Caleb did what?
I can't remember what he said, how much he was talking at that point, but he just let out a little gasp of excitement, like, because our house is a manufactured home, and so in the bathroom, we have a regular bathtub, and we have a regular faucet that came with the house, but we don't use it. So he's always just kind of played with it in the bathtub, like he'll turn the handles. But nothing ever happens. Well, all of a sudden we're in this bathroom in this hotel, and we turn the handle and water comes out, and it's like a great, huge miracle for him. He's just so excited to see water flowing out. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the first time he saw water coming out of the faucet. I missed the beginning. Are you going to Silver Dollar City? We thought about going to Silver Dollar City. But there was a couple reasons why we decided not to, but one of them was just, it's so expensive. It's really, really expensive, and I just don't want to spend the money, on this trip, to go do that. So maybe at some other point we will try to get and go. But I don't know if you've seen the prices, but
It's crazy.
yeah, it's
expensive.
crazy.
Everything's expensive now, though.
Yeah. So Tim Hood says, okay, but you're all gonna have to explain to your boys why people are crazy in the city.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. It's like. Yeah, we just talked about that actually this week with Joshua because he's
You see some interesting things in the city. It was weird because we went to the city in the spring to visit Zach's parents, and we went to it kind of like a amusement kind of park / museum there. Anyway, I'm sitting down. This woman sits down with her baby next to me, and she's getting situated like she's gonna feed her baby. And all of a sudden, she pulls out a bottle, which, I mean, I know I bottle fed one of my babies, but it just took me off guard. It was almost like, wow, what's she doing? Because I literally had not seen a mother bottle feed her baby. Because people don't do that here in the country. People breastfeed their babies here in the country. It's just different things like that you see that kind of takes you off guard, and you think, wow, something so normal or considered normal, I'm not used to seeing. And something that is incredibly not normal, like breastfeeding, for example, in the city, we do here all the time.
So I had to go to town this week and I had to go to a business meeting. I still do web design stuff, and I met with a guy who's going to be giving me some clients, that I still do web design for. And it was just, I don't go to the city hardly ever. I think the nearest city is like an hour and a half away, hour and 45 minutes away. And we hardly ever go there. I think you go there like once every 3 months or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like I haven't been there, and I don't know, probably over 6 months.
You hadn't been?
To Springdale?
Really? Okay. I don't know.
I haven't been there in a while. And driving there and going through and just, going through traffic, it's almost scary because I have to learn how to drive again in front of all these people. It's like there's so many people. I'm used to just driving on a dirt road and not having to deal with anything. And I feel weird, being around so many people dressed in, business casual clothing. And it's just weird. It was just weird. It's been a long time. Anyway, wait until you go into a transplant. Okay, won't go there, Tim. Thanks. You can see our video on men and women bathrooms on the homestead. But anyway, yeah, it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment to go back to that, and but at the same time, I still want my kids to experience some of that a little bit, at the very least, to give them an example of what we got away from. So. Zach, how long does it take to hook up the mule train and get the wagon to town?
It's a joke.
Okay. I don't have a mule train. Like, mule train, what? No, I have a Chevy Silverado. It starts right up, normally. But that's what we drive around here. Funny, but that normal by city standards is actually not at all normal according to how we were created.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. By living where we do, there's so many people that really do have the desire to live how we were created and intentionally do that in a lot of different ways. So yeah, the being in the city takes me off guard because I'm not used to it anymore.
Yeah, but I really like living out here. It's just so peaceful, and there's so little noise. And it's just so dark, and some people get really scared by the dark. But, I just see it as so peaceful, and I love the dark. I do, but that's just me. Some people need to get out of the city and just get away from that. You feel when you walk into those buildings. I walked into it held at a university building, and I could feel the electric fields just all around me.
What?
I could feel it. It was just weird. It's just different. I don't know. There's so many frequencies that your body experience when you go through a place like that. It's the fluorescent lighting, it's all the Wi-Fi networks, it's all the cell phones around you. It's so much frequency interference that your body is experiencing that when you get away from it like we are all the time, and then you go back, I mean, it was intense.
Well, that's just like me when we're in someone's home in the evening who has their lights on. I can't handle it. I feel like I'm getting a headache and my eyes just hurt.
Yeah. John Morgan says dark in the country and dark in the city are two different things. And brother, you couldn't be more right. Hey guys, listen, I really appreciate you tuning in again this week, and we'll be back next week, next Saturday night. We'll try our best. If not, I will contact Brad at his channel and Big Family Homestead and let him know, and someone else will fill in for us. But again, thanks for tuning in again tonight. Again, the bees we're giving them away, the beehives. Don't forget, if you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting our homestead, you can go to patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead, read all about it. All right, guys, and we have some special giveaways just for you guys who deal with us late on the Late Show on the Homestead Network. We should be like David Letterman in the Late Show on the Homestead Network, because this is the Late Show, folks. All right, see you next time on American Homestead.